Jazz history was made with the album released on this day. By the late 50s, rock and roll had begun to dominate the charts. In response, jazz moved into more experimental territory. 1959 was a banner year for the genre. Miles Davis, Charles Mingus, and Ornette Coleman all released groundbreaking albums that year. Another jazz man also created something different, and it was a huge success. After a handful of moderately successful releases throughout the first half of the decade, mostly targeted towards college students, he found himself on the cover of Time magazine in 1954, making him only the second jazz artist behind Louis Armstrong to grace the cover. But he was uncomfortable with his fame. He felt he was only receiving the adoration due to his skin color. The prior year, the musician and his quartet had completed a world tour funded by the United States Department of State. The band marveled at local musicians while overseas. The musical styles influenced the group to experiment with unfamiliar sounds, unconventional pacing, and uncommon time signatures for an upcoming album. But Columbia Records was apprehensive about supporting an ambitious and financially risky project. They ultimately agreed to back the production and release of the album. The band got to work on the album it truly wanted to make, and on December 14, 1959, the Dave Brubeck Quartet released Time Out. The album peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Pop Albums chart and was the first jazz album to sell 1 million copies. 65 years after its release, Time Out remains a perfect example of open-mindedness and a willingness to draw inspiration from any and all corners of the world. In other words, it's timeless.